guys, Christian the Haver Card Man coming back at you with another deck profile today. And this time around, we are taking a look at my version of the Endymion Mighty Master of Magic deck profile. Now, this is probably going to seem fairly similar to most other deck profiles out there, but I've done a few modifications myself, and it's more so in the extra deck, and in just kind of the way that I play the deck. So I don't know, it's kind of interesting. But before we get into that, be sure to hit that subscribe and bell notification down below so you guys can stay tuned for future videos like this, as well as live duels, some replays, some meta-analysis, and some other dorky content that I'll be doing with some of my other friends. So be sure to stay tuned for that, and while you're down there, you might as well go check out all the links in the descriptions to everyone else's channels that's a member of the Coalition. The Coalition of Scrubs is another channel that I'm a part of where me and several other YouTubers get together and make you guys some awesome Yu-Gi-Oh content. So be sure to go check them all out down below. They're all awesome people, and they all deserve some love. So anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into today's Endymion deck profile, which is the reason that you came here. So we'll start off with the main deck here with the monsters. So first up, obviously you gotta be running 3 of the big boy himself, Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic. A lot of people would disagree with me on this. Most people only run him at 2. I like running him at 3 because he is an 8 on the scale and he's another spell that you can play, and I really like seeing him, especially if I'm going second. So I play 3 of them in here. That and also Pot of Desires. I really don't want to banish all of my copies of him with Pot of Desires, but we'll get into that later. So 1 Servant of Endymion because it is limited on the list on the ban list right now. But this is obviously the first card you'd want to open up with, just because Servant is insane. It can just pull Endymion straight out of the deck and give him a counter. So really awesome there. We're also running 2 Reflection of Endymion, just because you can use this with Celine to get some extra disruptions against your opponent. Or if you're going second, you can use it as a disruption right there to bounce a problematic card back to their hand, and also be able to get some extra summons. So Reflection's really good. Magister of Endymion, just kind of an extender for the deck. You know, I mean, if you guys played Endymion or Pendulum, you probably already know. He just special summons from the extra deck, which is not as good if you don't have Link monsters set up. So he's like I said, he's really just kind of an extender. So I only played 1 of them in here, even though I could play it 3. Next up, we're on to the Mythical Beast package. Now we're actually running 3 Mythical Beast Master Cerberus and 2 Jackal King, just because the Jackal King is ideally the one that we want to summon on the field, but if we end up with just the Cerberus, I mean, that's fine. Cerberus is really good going second, Jackal King really good going first. Either way, it doesn't matter. They're both really good cards and both really nice to have, so not going to complain about having either one of them on board. If nothing else, they're both spellcaster monsters that can be used for link plays, so I'm not even going to be mad about that. So next up, we have 3 Chronograph Sorcerer and 1 Time Gazer Magician. These guys kind of go together, because basically you just use the Chronograph to special summon out your Time Gazer, get an additional body on field, and the Chronograph you can also count as a spell card to get more spell counters on your field, so really good there. Do like having that. Next up, we have 3 Magical Abductor, just because this next card my budget couldn't permit. This is not a budget Endymion build at all, by the way, but we're running 1 copy of Magician's Souls. I had to get a German one because it was cheaper, but, you know, that's why we're running 3 Magical Abductor. Basically counts as 4 Magician's Souls in the deck, so you can just use your Magical Abductor, remove 3 spell counters, and be able to search your Magician's Souls there, which you can use to pitch stuff to the graveyard and get some draws. So really good there. And last up for the monsters, we're running 2 Spellbook, Magician of Prophecy, and we'll get to that later. We are running a very small Spellbook package in here, which is standard for most Endymion decks, but once again, we will get into that in a little bit. So now let's move on to the spell cards today. We're not running any traps. I probably would be if I was playing a Dark Magician build, but that's way too expensive, so I might do that in the future, though, if you guys like it enough, and if you let me know down in the comments if you want to see a Dark Magician version of this build. I'd be more than happy to do that, because it does look like a lot of fun. Once again, it's just it's the price range, so if I do it, it'll probably be online, but still worth it. So onto the spell cards now, because I'm sure you're done hearing me just rant. We have 3 Spell Power Mastery, search card for the deck. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be pulling a Servant if you don't have it in your hand already. Basically, we just went from 6 down to 4 Servants, so really good there. And if you draw it later on in the game, you can always use it to put spell counters on the field, so really good there. Next up, we are running 3 Magical Citadel of Endymion. I probably am going to end up cutting this down to 2, just because it's not as imperative a card as I thought it was. But it is good just having an extra spell card, having extra spell counters in your field, and then you can use its effect to, if you need to, take counters from it instead of your monster for an effect, whenever you need to remove spell counters for something. So it is handy there. We're also running 3 Mythical Institution for our Mythical Beast package. More spell counters allows us to search from the deck, so really good there. I do like having it at 3 for extra consistency, especially since we can't really search it. So next up, we're running Double Pot of Desires, just because I don't want to banish the whole deck, and I have plenty of 1-ofs in here that I really don't want to see gone, so I kind of use this as the last resort draw card if I really need to unbrick my hand. 9 times out of 10, though, I try not to play it. Next up, we have 1 Terraforming for that Mythical Institution. Once again, this is partially why I'm thinking about getting rid of one of the Mythical Institutions, because you don't really need all 3 in the deck. So I'm probably just going to cut it down to 2 and leave the Terraforming here. Now for our Spellbook package, we're running 2 Spellbook of Secrets and 1 Spellbook of Knowledge. I just found this to kind of be the better ratio, because I'd rather see the Spellbook of Secrets so that I could search for Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, normal summon it, and search for Spellbook of Knowledge, or use Spellbook Magician of Prophecy to search for knowledge, or search for secrets, and then search for knowledge with that. Either way, I really want to see knowledge last, and I want to make sure that I get Spellbook Magician of Prophecy on my field at least. So, and activate as many spell cards as I can, but I only run 1 knowledge. I had 2, but I'll probably just swap out that last Mythical Institution with the Spellbook of Knowledge, because I do like running the 2-ofs. It really is nice. And lastly, for our 1-ofs, for our draws, we have 1 Into the Void and 1 Upstart. Basically, it gives us a 38 card deck, and then Instant Fusion, just because we have Thousand Eyes Restrict. Do not have Millennium Eyes, though, because I'm not that toxic, nor am I that willing to open my wallet, even though I have a Magician Souls in the deck. The Magician Souls is way more worth it. So, let's go ahead and get onto the extra deck now, because that's all we have for the main. So, we'll start off with the Linked Monsters, because that is the biggest part of this deck here. So, we're running 1 Crowley, the first Prophesyer, really gets us into our Spellbook package. Allows us to add any one of our 3 Spellbook cards. That's why I like running it at 2, because if I end up opening 1 in my hand, I can still use Crowley to get a +1 off of it. So I really do like having him. Only need him at 1 though, just because you only get him like once per turn. But, you know, it is what it is. Then we also have a Daybreaker, the Shining Magical Warrior. I only have him just because he's another Link 2 monster that makes it a little bit easier to link climb up into our Celine, which we have 2 of. Queen of the Master Magicians. She is insane. I would probably run 3, but I only pulled 2 out of my dual overload boxes, so only running 2 of her at the moment, and honestly, it's been just fine. I haven't really even needed 3, so I think 2 works perfectly okay. You don't really need to worry about having much more than that. Honestly, I think I've only really ever used like 1, but 2 is good, so you have a backup. So then now we have a Nightmare Unicorn, just because it allows us to bounce some stuff back, and just provides extra disruption. Some discard stuff, so we can discard our spellcasters at the graveyard for Celine to special summon them back. So, Nightmare Unicorn, super awesome. Now onto our Link 4s. We have 1 Apollosa Bow of the Goddess. I got super lucky in the 1 box of Chaos Impact that I opened. Or no, Rising Rampage. She's Rising Rampage, I'm sorry. I opened both of them at like the same time. But the 1 box of Rising Rampage that I opened, I pulled an Apollosa, and I'm mad at myself for not doing it on camera, because that would have made such an awesome 50 subscriber special, even though right now we're probably actually about to celebrate 100 subscribers, which thank you guys for the awesome support. You're all incredible. So continuing on, we have 1 Nightmare Griffin, because I actually kind of like using the Celine Griffin Endymion lock. It's just super insane. That basically says you can't attack Celine. I can special summon a Reflection of Endymion to bounce something back to your hand whenever I want to. Endymion is immune to spell card, or is immune to card effects. It cannot be destroyed by card effects. And Nightmare Griffin says that your monster's activated abilities can't work unless they're linked. So unless you have a linked monster in the field, they don't work. So I like having him there. We have a Star Yuja, just because it's easy to get his draw 4 effect, but if nothing else, you can use him to special summon for your hand. So super good there. Boral Sword and Boral Load Dragon, just for more Link 4 material, or Link 4 cards, so we can steal monsters, or we can push the OTK. Either way, both super handy utility cards, and we have just a ton of extra deck space, so why not throw them in? They're just kind of good old staples. Then we have 1 number 11 Big Eye for our Exceeds, and then we also have 1 Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. Both really good to go into. I usually prefer going into the number 11 Big Eye, just because I can steal one of my opponent's monsters, and he's a spellcaster, so I can use it, plus the monster I stole, plus another monster in my field to go straight into Celine, just because it's including a spellcaster, so as long as you're at least using 1 spellcaster's material, you can go into Celine. So super good that I can just steal my opponent's stuff and use it for materials. Now onto the fusion monsters, because we have 3 of these in total. we're running an Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon that we can summon off of the Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. Just kind of added bonus there from being able to have the extra body to bring out. That we could also use him for rank 7 plays, so that we can go into a Big Eye if we wanted to after that. Then we have, like I mentioned, the Thousand Eyes Restrict for our instant fusion target, also a spellcaster, so we can steal one of our opponent's monsters that go after link plays. It's just an additional body that can steal, so really nice there. And lastly, we have one Mud Dragon in the Swamp, just because I am running Super Poly in the side deck, and it is another spell card, so really good synergistic there. But he's really easy to bring out because you got so many different attributes in this deck. You got light, dark, some cases wind, water, you know, all sorts of stuff. You're a little bit everywhere. So having him in here makes it really easy to just steal up whatever you need from your opponent. Or if nothing else, it's just more versatile than Starving Venom because you're not always going against dark. Sometimes you're playing like a Marincess deck, which is all water, or, you know, like people that are still playing Volcanics, which is all fire. You know, situations like that where Mud Dragon comes in handy. So I like playing him over Starving Venom, but that's just me. You guys play how you want to. That's all I got for the deck profile today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe down below. I love to hear you guys' thoughts. I love to chat with you. You guys are an awesome community, and you've been super nice to me ever since I've started this channel, and I really hope to keep doing this for you guys. So once again, thank you so much for watching. Remember to have fun and make your move. Peace out.